Hello, this is Pearls on Tuesday, and it is a chilly, rainy Sunday afternoon here in southeastern Virginia. So I am going to make a soup today that I can enjoy at lunchtime for the rest of the week. My husband is at work during the weekdays, and I find that I crave something like soup, something light at lunch rather than a sandwich. So I had been buying cans of soup loaded with sodium, and I really am trying to turn over a new leaf, not necessarily focusing on weight loss, but just some better choices. So I've been watching YouTube videos about this soup that some people call dieter soup, some people call it cabbage soup, weight reduction soup. Honestly, it is just vegetable soup. So it is healthy, it is meatless, it is fairly low in calories, easy to make, inexpensive, and you can make a lot at once so that you can enjoy it for quite some time. And that is my motivation for doing it. So I came up with my own recipe. I've done it a few times, and honestly, each time I do it is a little bit different because you can put as much or as little of these vegetables in as you want, as much or as little water or broth or juice or whatever you're going to use, depending on the thickness that you like. And from time to time, when I have things in the refrigerator or the pantry that I need to go ahead and use so that they don't spoil, I will throw it in, and it's always good. So today I'm going to share with you what I pulled out to put in it, and I'm going to give it a very rough chop because it is going to go into this big soup pot, okay? So it can be chopped roughly. I would say bite-sized pieces, but chopping it even a little larger than bite-sized pieces, once it cooks down, it's going to be even smaller. So I'm gonna move the phone down so that you can see what I have here. I have a large head of fresh cabbage. Of course, you could use red cabbage or whatever you want. You could use bok choy. I just have a regular head of green cabbage. I have a nice size summer squash and a nice size zucchini. I have some celery, and really this celery has seen better days. It's not spoiled by any stretch, but it is not as crispy as it once was. I wouldn't put this on a crudité platter for anyone, but I'm going to chop it up, including the celery leaves, and put that in the soup, and it will be delicious. I have some carrots. I have a nice onion. I had some parsley that I had bought for another dish that I made, and before it is ready to be thrown away, I'm going to chop a good section of this off and put it in. I'm going to add a can of lima beans. I happen to have those in my pantry. I'm going to add a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, but you could add tomato puree, you could add crushed tomatoes, or you could leave them out altogether. I haven't done this before, so this is an experiment. I have a jar of pickled beets that has been in the refrigerator for a while. It's still in date, but I'm gonna go ahead and drain the juice out and throw these beets in. Why not? And then along with water, and after I do the chop, I will show you how much water I put. Along with the water, I am going to add a good amount of this spicy, hot V8 juice, 100% vegetable juice. It gives it a good tang and a good flavor. So now I'm going to chop. I won't take you along for that journey, but I will show you what it looks like when I get it all in the big soup pot. Okay, I have finished putting everything in the soup pot on a rough chop. And by the way, I decided not to drain the can of lima beans or the fire roasted tomatoes or the beets. I went ahead and put the juice in here. I figured I'm gonna add water to it anyway, and so what can it hurt? So everything is in the pot, and I'm going to add, I'll start with 4 cups of water, because in the end, you want the vegetables to be covered up to the top with the water. So I'm gonna need 4 more cups. And again, I'm making a huge batch of this. If you were to cut it in half, you wouldn't need this much water. But like I said, in the end, I want the water to come up to the top of the vegetables. I'm going to go ahead and start adding the V8 juice. Now this is a 46 ounce jar. So let's see. I've added about half. Okay, I'm gonna do some more water because the vegetables cooking will produce some water anyway. Okay, let me get a nice wooden spoon. Yes, okay. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a little more water. That looks good. Okay, so you can see how the veggies are kind of floating in the water. Now what to spice with? Totally up to you. I'm gonna use some garlic powder. Can we say a teaspoon? I'm going to add some Italian seasonings, you know, which of course is your oregano, your basil, probably some marjoram, a little bit of sage. I'm gonna say 1.5 teaspoons of that. I'm going to add some onion powder, even though I put raw onion in it. I'm still gonna add a little bit of that. I'm gonna throw in a little turmeric because I have an autoimmune problem, and this helps, turmeric helps with inflammation and gives it a nice little spicy taste. I'm gonna add a couple of good pinches of black pepper and a pinch of salt. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and stir that up. My cabbage is on the bottom, so I'm gonna try to move it around so that I can get some of my cabbage up to the top and get some of those spices in. And honestly, it already smells wonderful. Just wonderful. So now what I'm going to do is put it on the stove on maybe medium high. I have a gas stove, and once it starts to simmer, I'm going to turn it down a little bit and then put the lid on. And I'm going to let it simmer until the vegetables are tender. Now, this is another thing that is totally up to you. Some people like their vegetables and soups to be a little more crisp, almost as you would describe al dente for a pasta, and others like them real mushy. I like mine somewhere in between. So I'm thinking it's gonna be a good hour or more once it comes to a good simmer, and I turn it down. But what you would do, of course, is just check it and take it off the heat when the consistency of the vegetables are like you would want. And then, of course, taste for spices if it needs more salt, more pepper. You could put in some little red pepper flakes. You could hit it with a little bit of hot sauce. It is totally up to you. But this is going to be a lunch for me to have for the rest of the week. It'll be a healthier choice than some of the other things that I was reaching for, and pretty economical too. So I'm gonna put it on the stove and I'll come back when it's ready to share. All right, this has been on, I'm gonna say medium high for about 20 minutes. And it is simmering. You can see the little bubbles on top. The vegetables have already cooked down quite a bit and are a little more tender. You can see the liquid portion a little bit better now, so I'm not going to add any more liquid to it. So at this point, I am going to turn down the heat to low to medium low. I'm going to put the lid on, but I'm not going to put the lid on all the way. I'm going to leave a little space here for some steam to escape. And I'm thinking it's going to be 45 minutes to an hour left to simmer. But I will check on it and I'll be back when I'm ready to show you the end result. All right, so it's been about an hour and 5 minutes. I let the soup cool for a few minutes, and here is the finished product. It smells delicious. My vegetables are cooked through, but still have a little bit of crispiness to them. I did add a little more salt during cooking because I really prefer savory and I felt that it needed it. And now I'm going to give it a try. Bon appetit. Very good. Very good. The flavors are pretty well melded. It has just the right amount of kick for me. Adding the beets and the beet juice, I'm not tasting that. I don't really taste that earthiness of the beets. It was only 1/4 of a jar. It's very good. Thank thanks for coming along, and have a great winter. Make yourself some healthy soup and practice some hygge. Take good care of you and yours. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Pearls on Tuesday.